This provides an overview of the plan to fully fund and quickly implement the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal Target Action Plans. By implementing this plan, we will rapidly end wars, poverty, unemployment, combat climate change, and do many, many other things. This slide provides a summary of the key target action plans. The number one priority is to end the wars, get the nuclear weapons off of alert. We'll talk about this more later. Target Action Plan 19 is disarming and in particular converting the military-industrial complex to provide products for peaceful purposes, in particular for the below TAPs 41 and 25. TAP 1 is to provide full employment, jobs at decent work, primarily to implement TAP 41, which is to provide the needs and necessities of life, guaranteed income, and everything needed for people to become self-sufficient as rapid as possible. TAP 25, very urgent that we decrease the rate and degree of climate change and mitigate its adverse effect. We'll tell you how we're going to do this later. TAP 31 will outline how we will provide upfront surge funding and donations to accomplish the above and implement the other SDGs rapidly. Faster we could get the people self-sufficient, the least it's going to cost us. The following provides a summary of TAP 18, ending wars. The number one priority is to permanently disable all nuclear weapons. This is one of the threats to the entire civilization. It's stupid that we still have these on alert. The second is to end all the U.S. wars, air and drone strikes, violence, etc. Use of force, sanctions, military alliances, and empire building. Now the reason for this, international law, in particular the Kellogg-Briand Treaty, requires that all conflicts be settled by pacific means. Using sanctions against the countries is illegal. That's not a pacific means. And that third item, extremely important, is to apologize and pay reparations to the people and countries harmed by the U.S. Until we do this, we will have the threat of terrorism. Once we apologize and pay the reparations, and that means sincerely apologize, we will get rid of end the terrorist threats. We also need to turn over all our overseas bases, all our facilities to the United Nations. TAP number 20 is to strengthen the United Nations. We have to make it possible for them to enforce the law. 100 countries in the world still torture their people. That is against international law. We have to enforce that. We have to have a rule of law around the world. Now, I don't believe in punishment, but I believe we have to have the rule of law. People have to pay restitution that have violated this law. But in general, throwing them in prison doesn't work. We need to bring all the offensive weapons, troops, and contractors home. Offensive weapons are illegal under international law also. Oh, and there's that last one I say, settle all disputes and conflicts by pacific means. That will include legal. Some people will be required to be kept under supervision. But we do need to settle disputes by peaceful means. TAP 9 is to permanently disarm. That includes demilitarizing. The Constitution says you'll raise armies. It says, and we know international law outlaws wars, Kellogg-Briand Treaty. So there's no need for a military. We need to demilitarize not only our army, we need to completely demilitarize our police forces. And we need to phase out military and all offensive weapons, ships, and aircraft, in particular nuclear weapons. We have to get those out of use. We need to convert the military-industrial complex, I've said this before, to provide products to do this, to combat climate change, and to get people self-sufficient. We talked about the full employment a little bit before, but it's very important. We need to have full and productive employment at decent work and at living wages. Mainly, we need people working on eradicating all poverty. And we can do that by ensuring everyone has all the necessities of life, a guaranteed income, and everything needed to become self-sufficient until they are self-sufficient. Now, the people need to do this work. We've got to provide donations. For years, we've stolen the resources from these countries. So we've got to do this as rapidly as possible, being sure everyone becomes self-sufficient. Everyone works to raise food, raise vegetables, whatever they need. TAP 25, decrease the rate and degree of global warming and mitigate its adverse effects. The two go together, 41 and 25. For example, about 1 billion people have no energy, other than burning wood or coal to provide heat. They have no electricity. What we can do is donate photovoltaic cells that they install, the wiring systems, whatever they need, and they install them, and they can become rapidly self-sufficient. It only takes about 5% of the roofs in a community to provide electricity for the whole community. So we do the same thing with many things, the water, food, you're going to be self-sufficient, and you combat climate change because they'll no longer have to be cutting down trees for their energy. This is TAP 31, reduce inequalities, which is actually an SDG, and outline funding and donation sources. And they're tied together. We'll eliminate excessive inequalities by having a net asset property tax, which is explained later. And we'll use those donations to provide the items we talked about to become self-sufficient. The money is plenty of money. The corporations have $165 trillion. There's another $40 trillion in wealth, at least, in the world. So we can do this not by taxing the poor or the middle class, but by taxing the people that have the money. And they will get extra deductions. This is explained later. Now, I'm going to leave the rest of the slides here. There's no voice. Please look at them, and we'll have the voice on them in a few days. Thank you and have a great day.